the good, the bad, the weird, and the rad.
I love it.
And we're going to start in the NFC. And as always, I like to start on a good note. So we're going to start with the good. And the good right now are the 49ers. They are almost back to full strength after getting Christian McCaffrey back last week. He looked good. They eased him in.
Sort of.
For him. I mean,
for him, yes.
13 carries for 39 yards, 6 catches for 68 yards, but he had over 100 scrimmage yards in his first game back. And when you think about it, he didn't have a preseason.
No, he did not.
And he started practicing just a couple weeks ago. And before that, he hadn't practiced for almost 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And, heading into the season, the 49ers were favored in every game.
Yes, they
were. This year.
Yes, they were.
And obviously, they were plagued by injuries. And this year has not gone as planned so
no, it
far.
Definitely has not.
But the good news is the NFC West is so close and all within a couple games. And everything's winnable. So take us into the locker room and the day-to-day vibe around this team. Because it feels like, okay, we made it through like the hardest part of losing all of our main guys.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're on the up and up, and it's starting to feel good.
It definitely is. And having Christian McCaffrey back was definitely a huge boost for the team, for the offense, all of the things. They're still missing such a key piece in Drake Greenlaw on defense, and it's affecting them. For tomorrow's game, George Kittle, Trent Williams, and Nick Bosa are all questionable to play.
Oh,
so
okay, so they're not out of the woods yet.
Nick Bosa's dealing with hip injury.
Close to full strength, but they're not there yet.
And this is the thing with the NFL, because it's like as soon as you're like, oh, we're getting our guys back, then you have other guys. So we'll see. I mean, I would imagine those 3 guys, if they can play, they will absolutely play. They were just so lucky last year with the injury bug, but it is definitely a boost to have Christian back. There is no doubt about it. You see the difference he makes on the field. Just his presence makes a huge difference on the field. But they're going into a tough stretch. They have the Seahawks at home tomorrow, then at Green Bay, at Buffalo, and then at home against the Bears. So
which right now that's looking like it should be an easy one, but who knows? Like maybe Caleb figures it out by then. They're kind of a dumpster fire over there in Chicago right now, but anything can happen in a month.
Anything can. And then 4 days later, Thursday Night Football against the Rams, who they should have beaten and already had not beaten. So it's a tough stretch they have ahead of them. That being said, Kyle Shanahan teams, they play very well in November and December. As you said, this division is very close. It's extremely winnable. So
1 to 2 games to move up top to bottom for everybody in
But they can't lose
division.
any more division games.
Oh, no, they can't. So they have to win against Seattle.
They have to win against Seattle. They got to beat the Rams in a month, and then they have to beat the Cardinals to end the season. I mean, that's what's crazy about that game is it's their last game of the season, and it could be for the division.
Yeah.
Which no one thought that going into the season.
No, absolutely not. So you think McCaffrey can save the Niners season solely on kind of the vibe and the energy that he brings to the team?
I do not think he can save the season. Okay. I think he helps dramatically. Okay. I do think that he helps dramatically. But I think that the issues they're dealing with go beyond Christian McCaffrey.
They're deep.
So I
injury wise, or is there vibe issue?
I think injury wise and just playing wise. I mean, execution wise. They're having trouble finishing games. Yeah. They play really well for 3 quarters. Unfortunately, it's a 4-quarter situation. If this was hockey, killing it.
Done.
Go into the Super Bowl. They're going to Stanley Cup winners. But I think those are kind of issues. Execution on offense. Execution on defense, having trouble defending the run.
Yeah.
Christian makes a huge difference on offense, but there are just other issues. So I don't think he can save it, but I think he can do a heck of a lot to help it.
That's fair. I mean, they got away with the win last week against the Bucs.
Exactly.
It was a little closer than everyone expected, and this leads into my weird moment.
Yes.
And that was Debo's argument with his teammate after missing 3 field goals. So take us, what happened? What was the conversation after the game? Obviously, there was frustration because, that could have been the game.
Mm-hmm. And he ended up, Jake Beatty ended up kicking the game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
The conversation after the game, per Debo and everyone, was that he was basically kind of firing Jake up, lock in, and that Tabor Pepper didn't feel like that's what he was saying, so he stepped in. And then, of course, Debo pushed him, which he definitely should not have done. Yeah. And then in pushing him, he kind of hit Jake, which was not intentional.
Beautiful.
The thing with it is just
dramatic.
It was very dramatic.
So
and
dramatic.
Then Jake Moody goes out, kicks the game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
That was very exciting for them, and go Blue.
Yeah.
But it is weird.
Yeah.
I think generally when players start fighting on the sideline with themselves and each other, it's not a good
Do that behind closed doors. Like, keep it in the locker room.
And it's a little different than, Kyle Shanahan likened it to if he's going up to an offensive player.
Yeah.
Being like, okay, lock in, you got this, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a little different with a kicker. And the other thing is you can't, like, Jake didn't want to miss the field goals.
No.
It's not like and the other thing is, my thing, it is 100% Jake Moody's responsibility to make those field goals. There is no reason he should be missing.
What you're getting paid for.
What he's getting paid
job.
No reason he should miss them. That being said, this 49ers team has so much trouble in the red zone.
Yeah.
The field goals were 50-yard field goals, 49 and 44. So it's not even like, I'm not saying he shouldn't make them. He absolutely should. But that speaks to the red zone issues and the issues they're still having on offense. Because if I were them, and I know they would not say this, I'd be like, then score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to get the field goal. I mean, Debo's had 1 touchdown this season. So I'm not taking anything away from his talent, all of that. I'm just saying it's not a good look. And I don't think Debo was coming over to be like, what is wrong with you? But kickers are different. It's just a different thing. And
you're in your own world. You're not it's not like a team. I mean, obviously, if like the hold isn't right and the snap isn't right, then it's like not your fault. But everything else, it's all on you.
It is. It's on you.
All on you.
And Jake Moody was coming back from an ankle injury. He had not played in 3 games, 4 weeks. I mean, he was. But
there was a lot.
All's well that ends well. However, I don't think it's great for that to start happening on the sideline. So it was weird.
It was weird. But it also it's been a frustrating year. And when it's been a frustrating year, unfortunately, that kind of spews out into the game.
It does.
And that's what we saw. But they got away with the win. So let's move on to the rad. And if you're just tuning in, we're doing a segment called The Good, the Bad, the Weird, and the Rad. And we are now on the rad. And I think the Eagles, Saquon Barkley is looking like the best addition they could have made to their team. And that's rad.
It is rad.
He has over 1,000 rushing yards. He's first in rushing yards.
It's great. Well, he hasn't even played yet week 11. Oh, yes, he did.
Yeah.
It's week 11, 1,000 rushing yards. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, no. Tied for 3rd in rushing touchdowns. I have him as my MVP favorite right now. It's kind of obviously neck and neck between him and Henry, but they've played the same amount of games. So, because I don't think they've had their bye yet. It's something like that where they have the same amount of games. He is first in rushing yards. They both have over 1,000 rushing yards, I think. But it's just, after the win Thursday night, huge win over the Commanders. It's looking like the Eagles are back after that weird year last year.
So they would have been in the weird.
They're currently on a 6-game win streak, and they can take the NFC East. I mean, it's kind of been between them and the Commanders. I had them before the season started winning the NFC East with the Commanders as kind of my keep an eye on. They're going to be really good, and it could go either way. But the NFC in general right now, between the Lions 8-1, Eagles 8-2, Vikings 7-2, Commanders 7-4, the fight for the top is going to be a fun race.
It is. It is going to be a very fun race. And going back to the 49ers, they've dug themselves in a hole. They're not in that race. And I don't think they're going to make it.
I picked them in the Super Bowl, so joke's on me. I think joke's on everybody. They were favored in every game this year.
And things happen. But back to the Eagles, I don't know how the Giants let this happen. How they let Saquon go to their rival.
He wanted to be in New York for life. And how do you not have enough money to pay your best player?
And then they let him go to their division rival,
it's
mind-boggling.
Chef's kiss
to me.
Good job, Eagles.
The Eagles definitely look legit. They look like they're back. Whatever issues they had, and they had plenty of weird last year.
Oh yeah, between Sirianni and Hurts had there was rumors they were having issues communication, getting along wise.
But they look good.
It looks like they're back, and that's rad.
That's rad, and something tells me that one of the people sitting here is going to have to go to Philadelphia in January to cover a playoff game.
Hey,
and that person might be me.
Love that. And now we're going to move to the bad, you guys. The Bears.
The bad news Bears, really.
The bad news, yes, even better. They fired their OC this week. And I think the hard part about this whole situation is there was so much hype around Caleb Williams, that he was a generational talent, that he was going to save the franchise. But he's looking like a rookie, and that's normal for young quarterbacks. Obviously, we've seen the outliers the last few seasons with C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels this year. But Caleb doesn't have great protection from his O-line. He's taking an NFL worst 38 sacks. Oof. So that means not protection, but he's also holding onto the ball for too long, which was one of his strengths in college. He could run around, figure out what play he wanted to make. However, that's not translating the same to the NFL. Guys are faster. Guys are stronger. They're getting to you. You gotta let it go. Like, he is on pace to finish the season with 72 sacks. That would be the second most all-time for a rookie. All-time. Like, it's just painful. I feel sad for him.
It is painful, and I think in fairness to him, and this is me being overlaid, as you mentioned, he has, like, no protection. No. I think we see Jaden Daniels thriving, and that is very much Jaden Daniels. But Jaden Daniels also has pieces around him to help him thrive, and this is what the Bears, they did this with Justin Fields, and now they're doing with Caleb Williams. You get these quote-unquote generational quarterbacks, and then you throw them in there like, well, we're not getting you anything else, though, so good luck. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing, and he is a rookie.
Yeah.
And rookies they call them rookie mistakes for a reason, and he is going to make mistakes, but I think, it's interesting because I remember being on the show with Carmen this summer talking about it, and I was like, I don't know about Jaden Daniels. He seems like kind of small. I'm not sold, and I'm now very sold on Jaden Daniels. Yeah. And I don't know with Caleb Williams, but they need to help him. I mean,
he needs help.
He needs help.
Honestly, though, he's going to have a completely different coaching staff next year.
Yes, he is.
So he's going to be starting from fresh. He's just got to make it through healthy.
Yes.
Make it through healthy through the season. It's going to be brutal. It already has been brutal. I mean, there were rumors that they were discussing benching him after 9 games. I guess that was coming from the veterans requesting to kind of give him a moment. But then Caleb said he feels backed by his teammates. It's all weird vibes. And honestly, I'm not sure what a mid-season OC change is going to do to help Caleb.
It's not really going to do anything. And I don't think benching him is going to help. I mean, unless you are fearful for his safety because he's getting sacked so many times, benching him is just going to further mess with his confidence. Who's their backup quarterback?
Who is their backup quarterback?
I mean, I think
Tyson Bagent, I think.
Tyson Bagent.
Of course. Obviously. That says it all. So if you bench him for Mr. Bagent, who I have the utmost respect for, especially since I just learned he existed. But I think if you bench him for Tyson Bagent, like, what is that going to do for the team?
But you don't know.
I mean, I guess in fairness to Tyson, since he may come out and just be gangbusters, but there are so many issues around there, and you got, just like we were talking about with kickers, young quarterbacks, you got to be careful with the mental side of it and the confidence. So you bench him now, then it becomes, I don't know.
It's tough.
It's a mess.
I'm just going to sprinkle one more bad on this because, we can't leave them out. The Cowboys.
Oh, God, so bad.
Dak is officially out for the season, having surgery on his hamstring. It's a 3-month recovery, but he's choosing the best long-term option. Duh. Because let's be honest, Cowboys, your season is over. We even saw Dak on the sideline saying to his teammates during the game against Falcons, we suck.
Yeah.
And, it's just a little bit of a dumpster fire over there. So that was the good, the bad, and weird, and the rad for the NFC.